The next tool we want to look at is the sweep tool. So the sweep tool is another way you can create a 3D object. So to make use of the sweep tool, you will need two different profiles. You will need a profile called the object, then another profile that we call the parts. So now you can see, so by combining the profile and the object and the parts, you can form your sweep. So now we can, if you observe this 3D that we have here, you can see it has a cross section, which is this profile. So now you are going to sweep this profile along this path. So to give us something like this. So now to make use of sweep in Autodesk Inventor, you need to profile. You need a profile A called the object, another profile B called the path. So now you have to sweep profile object along path to get this result. So now let's try and do this with our Autodesk Inventor. So I've opened my Autodesk Inventor software. So I'm going to start with Start to the Sketch, select a plane, select plane. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my initial, the first profile, which is the object. So now, depending on what you want to achieve, um, okay, let me just draw a rectangle. I'm not doing this to dimension. My goal is just to explain how sweep works. So I've drawn a rectangle. So I'll click on finish sketch. So the next thing I'm going to draw is I'm going to draw my the part you want the object to go along. Now, one thing you should bear in mind is that your profile and your part should be perpendicular to one another. That means that A and B should be drawn perpendicularly to one another. So now to achieve that, I'm going to start another to the sketch. Because I want them to be perpendicular to one another, so I'm going to be drawing my parts on this plane so that I can have a perpendicular object. So now I want to draw the parts. Okay, so let's assume this is the direction of the part I want. You can make your parts anyhow you want it. It all depends on what you want. Okay, let's assume this is just what I want. All right, I'm done with the parts. So finish sketch. So now you would observe that the objects and the parts are perpendicular to one another. So once they are perpendicular to one another, so we are not going to sweep this object along this path. We're going to sweep this object along the path. So now I can click on my sweep option. So automatically profile has been selected because this is the only closed object that we have here. So profile has been selected. So the next thing is to select my parts. So select my parts. Now you can see it's already giving me the preview of the results. So now you can see what sweep looks like. So the results that you can achieve with sweep is quite different from what you can achieve with extrude. As extrude is going to just give it height, but sweep works depending on the direction of the parts. So I'm going to do this once again. So sweep, automatically the profile has been selected automatically because this is the only closed object in this drawing. So it automatically identified that as a profile. So now parts. So I'm going to select the parts. So you can see the button is on parts. So select the parts. So sweep the preview of the result. Now I want us to explore some options here. So here surface. Now surface or solid. I've talked about this previously. Surface and solid. So solid gives us a filled object, while surface gives us an hollow object, just like assuming like you are using cardboard to just form this, a cardboard or just a piece of paper to just form this object. But that's not what we want. We want a solid. So now you can choose the solid option. Okay. All right. So just click on accept. So you can see the result that we have. So this result is achieved using sweep. So now let's see something else that we can achieve using sweep. Okay, now we want to achieve a different result using sweep. So I start with start 3D sketch. I select a top plane here. Then I draw a circle. Finish sketch. Now I want to draw the parts. And as I said previously, the part has to be perpendicular to the object that was drawn. So now to draw the parts, start to the sketch. Now I'm going to select a perpendicular plane to this plane. So any of these other two planes are perpendicular to this top plane. So I can choose any of them. Let me choose this. Okay. So now I'm going to draw the parts. So now to draw the part this time around, I want to use spline. So I want to use spline to achieve the parts. Okay. Okay. I'm going to terminate here. All right. Finish. So now, based on what I have here, we have our two profiles, the objects and the parts. So once you have the objects and the parts and they are perpendicular to each other, then you are good to use the sweep tool in Autodesk Inventor. So I'll click on sweep. So automatically it has selected the object. Then also it has also known because you have two objects, automatically it has done a selection for you. Now you have the preview. So if this is what you want, then you can accept. So now sweep is used to achieve something like this. Just draw objects, whatever you want your object to be, then decide on what you want the parts to be. So make sure that the two are perpendicular and you'll be able to achieve your sweep tool. The next object we want to look at now is the Revolve tool. Revolve tool in Autodesk Inventor. Now looking at the three images that we have here, so these are examples of uh, cases where we can use revolve tool. Now you can see this cup and this bottle and this vase. Now you can see now if you look at this, you can see similarly, if you look at it round, you'll be seeing the same thing. If you consider the front view of this object, the back view, the left view, the right view, looking at it round 360 is the same profile. If you look at it, it's the same profile round. Now you can see the same thing applies to this object. When you look at it round, you keep seeing the same object. The same thing applies to this particular object, this bottle. You look at it round, you view it in your orthographic direction round. You keep seeing the same thing. Now, objects that has this property, we use revolve to achieve them. So these are three examples of cases where you can use your revolve tool. So now to use revolve in Autodesk Inventor, the first step is for you to identify revolve objects. You need to know how to identify revolve objects. So these are three cases where you can use revolve to achieve this result. Now you can see this is quite different from extrude. You can use extrude to achieve something like this. You can use sweep to achieve something like this. This has to be done with revolve. Now the question now is, how do we use revolve in Inventor? Now to use revolve, you need to make two drawings. We have to do what we call the object and the revolve axis. You need to draw your revolve object and your revolve axis. Okay, so now let's try and do something like this. So I'll click on start to the sketch, then I'll select this plane depending on the orientation on of what you want. So now we want to draw this. So I'm going to draw my revolve object first. So the revolve object will be one side of the entire object, one side, maybe the right hand side or the left hand side of the entire object. So I'm going to be drawing this. I'll come down this way, then go. All right. So I'm going to be drawing that. Okay, then come down, then for the base I'm going to draw this. Now because it's a solid I want, so I'm going to do some lines to represent the thickness of the cup. Now you can see I'm drawing some lines to represent the thickness of the cup. Okay, so now make sure that all the lines you have drawn to form this, they are all connected to one another. you can't, there shouldn't be space in between. So there shouldn't be any opening in between these lines. Everything should be connected. So now this is going to represent my object. Then I'm going to draw another line to represent the path. Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on finish sketch. Now you can see that we have two categories of objects, two categories of objects. This is the revolve object, then this is the revolve axis. So I'll be revolving this object round this axis. So I'm going to click on revolve, profile. So it's asking me to select my profile. So this is my profile. This that I've drawn, this first drawing I made, that's the profile, then the axis. Okay. All right. Now I've selected the axis. So what it has done is that it has revolved the profile 360 round around the axis to give me this result. So if this looks good for me, I can click on OK. So now let's try and examine. Let's try and examine what we have. Now you can see this is the result that we have. You can see that it has a hollow. So we are going to look at how to close that hollow if we don't want a hollow in between. But you can see we have the shape. The shape is out. We have the shape. So it depends on how you do your own drawing. Okay, so I'm going to undo this and let's understand the step once again. Okay, so initially we do this. We drew this initially. We drew this initially. Okay, now you notice that it has, when we do this, we draw it in such a way that there is a thickness because, of course, this cup has thickness. This cup has thickness. It's not made of paper. It's not made of it's not made of paper. So it has a considerable amount of thickness. So that's why. So to compensate for the thickness, that's why we have to compensate for the thickness depending on what you want the thickness to be. So depending on what you want the thickness to be, I want to compensate for the thickness. That's why we have to draw it this way, two lines. Two lines. Make sure that everything is close together. Make sure that everything is close together. Then this is what is representing the axis. So what we did is we revolved this object 360 around this axis to form that cup. But the cup had hollow because there is a space between the object and the axis. So now I'm going to close up that space. I'm going to close up that space. Okay. I'm going to close up that space. Or now, or another way I can do it, I can decide to delete the axis. I can decide to delete the axis. Now, then I'm going to specify this side of the object as my revolve axis. So finish sketch. So revolve, select profile. The profile has been selected is the only object of the screen. Then now the axis of to revolve. So I'm going to be selecting this side of the object as my revolve axis. So automatically, so the preview has been formed. Accept. Now here you can see there is no space. There is no space because I selected the side of the object. So it revolved 360 around that side. So there is no space. There is no hollow in this case. So now we have the cup. We have the cup. So this is how revolved objects are formed. Now you can see turning this 360 around, we keep seeing the same thing. 360. When you turn it, you orbit it around 360, you keep seeing the same object. So this is one characteristics of revolve objects. Okay. Now let's try and achieve something like this using revolve. Let's try and achieve something like this using revolve. So the very first thing is we are going to try and draw the side, just one part of the side, just one part of the side. Now, depending on the shape you want, then you will know where the axis of the object will be. So the axis is going to be somewhere around the center, but the object is going to be just one side of the of the entire drawing. So I'm going to try and do that. Start to the sketch, select this plane. Okay, because I want my axis to be somewhere around here, so I'm going to leave some space. Okay, draw a line. Okay, then I think it's a bit slant. Okay, I want it to look more realistic. So I'm going to be careful in the way I draw my object. Okay, it's okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. I want the base of this object to be closed. So I'm going to, so now I'm now at the base. So I'm going to come back a little bit. So to compensate for the thickness, of the object, so I'm going to draw another line. Okay. Close. All right. So now look at the object I have drawn. I've drawn this as the object. Now you see I draw this as a continuous object. There is no space, there is no opening. There is no opening anywhere in my drawing. There is no opening anywhere, and I closed it properly. So there is no opening. So that if there's an opening, then the revolve will not work. If there's an opening anywhere in drawing this, revolve will not work. All right. So now I can decide to draw my revolve axis, which should be somewhere along this line. My revolve axis, I can decide to draw this revolve axis. But if otherwise I don't want to draw this revolve axis, I'll be using this line as my revolve axis. So whichever way, I'll get the same results. So finish sketch. Now revolve. Now select profile. The profile has been automatically selected as this object. So far it's a closed object, it's going to select it automatically. But if this is an open object, if there's an opening somewhere, it will not be able to select this. Now for my revolve axis, I'm going to select this line. Okay, so you can see automatically uh, for my preview, we've been able to achieve this object, something like this for revolve. So this is how to use revolve. So you can see when you rotate this round, you keep seeing the same thing. So objects that have these properties, you use revolve to achieve them. Now we have some options for revolve. You can decide to revolve at an angle. If you don't want to have a full 360 revolution, you can decide to do revolve at 180 or at yes 180 degree. So you can decide to have revolve at 180 degree. You can decide to graphically pull it instead of having 360. So now this shows the beauty of revolve. Now, this really shows the beauty of revolve. So you don't have to revolve 360. It's not compulsory. You should revolve 360. So you can see the way revolve works. So it's revolving around the axis that we specified, which is somewhere here. So revolve is revolving the object 360 around the axis. So I'll just specify 360 for the angle. Okay, so this is how to use Revolve in Autodesk Inventor. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if indeed you have, kindly subscribe to this channel to see notifications for new videos. Like this video and add your comments if you have any question. Thank you.